this strategy comes from success. This 5 around strategy works. And so I'm going to encourage you guys to execute on this as soon as possible and put it together.
Great experiences build great leaders. Great leaders build great teams. This is Building Great Sales Teams.
All right. Good morning, guys. It's 8:30 a.m. on Friday morning, November 22nd. You guys should get this episode on the 25th or the 26th. 25th or the 26th. But I have been executing this strategy a lot lately, and I should have started it much sooner. But it's been working really well for my clients, so I wanted to obviously share that with you. You know, it's funny, anytime I pull something from the past that worked really well and use it as a strategy for my clients and it starts working in the present, you would think that I would put it out and hide it behind a paywall. But no, why would I do that? You know, obviously there's a strategy to that. I want to work with the right clients, and that requires, you know, filtering out the wrong ones by giving away a bunch of free stuff and then them being able to use it. Not that they're wrong, they're just not ready, right? And so anyways, I want to run you guys through this, and the background behind this is, you know, you guys that have been listening for a while know that I used to be an AT&T dealer, right? For 13 years, 12 years. And it's funny, I probably quoted like 3 different numbers on that thing, but technically I am still an AT&T dealer. I got a deposit yesterday for $106 from AT&T. So thank you guys. It's almost 2 years later and I haven't sold a single AT&T order, and I'm still getting residuals, which is freaking fantastic. I love it. But anyways, all right, let's walk through this. So, you know, when you're working, when you're working door to door, and we are talking about door to door right now. And so if you're afraid of that, hop off this podcast, find another one that we're not talking about door to door, because this is, you know, this is the fact of the matter. Door to door works. It works really well. And if I had a home service company right now, I would use what I like to call a hybrid door to door strategy, right? So what we used to do here, and you can tell I haven't done a lot of podcast episodes lately because I start with the ums a lot. But anyways, I'm going to eliminate those right now. So what we do here, or what we did in the past, was when AT&T, so when we signed people up for AT&T in the neighborhood, right? After a couple days, if there was a good install turnaround time, you start seeing the trucks come in, even though you were still working that neighborhood. Now, understand that a lot of people work neighborhoods differently now. They want to get to as many homes as possible because they're working storm, or they think knocking once is enough, which is silly. But we worked what we call a loop strategy. So we would knock early, we'd knock mid-afternoon, and then we'd knock late, the same doors. And the idea behind this is AT&T assigned us turf, right? Territory that no other dealer could knock. Because what would happen if they didn't do that, there were so many dealers in Texas and in nationwide that we would step on each other's toes, and it would create, you know, people recruiting from other people. It would create a lot of issues. So they assigned us turf, and on these leads would be names, sometimes numbers if they were AT&T customers, what existing internet they had, if any, and that was an advantage that we had, right? So we start knocking this turf. It's the 3rd day that we're in the turf or something like that, and we see the trucks start coming in. And so what we trained our guys to do is whenever those trucks started coming in, they started installing, we would then knock around the installs. So this strategy is very common in home services. It's called a 5 around strategy, or an H strategy. And the idea is you've got the install here, and you got the install happening. You're going to knock the house to the right. You're going to knock the house to the left. You're going to knock the house behind to the behind left and behind right if you're facing the door of the install, right? It's called a 5-around strategy, and I've kind of expanded on this and turned it to a 10-around, a 15, a 20, or just you're knocking doors in that neighborhood because you got installs going on there. And so at a very base level, that's where it started. And what we started realizing is it would create a purpose in the neighborhood. Hey, we come by, just want to let you know the AT&T truck's right over there. You see it. I want to make sure you don't tow my installer, and wanted to make sure that if there was any install issues or anything like that, or any trash left on the ground, you let me know. I'll come and take care of it right away. Usually there's not, but just in case, I wanted to let you know. And then it would be, while I'm here, and you guys know where it goes after that, right? And so what started happening is we typically had a 3 to 4% penetration rate. Whenever we did this strategy, we would get up to a 6 and a 7 to 8% penetration rate. Now, understand when you're working for a large company like AT&T, even though you're 1099 and you're a dealer, they have quality metrics that you have to abide by. And one of them was a penetration rate. And so 4% was fantastic. 3% was acceptable. 2% was underperforming. 1%, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of good leads because they know you're going to waste them and you're not going to penetrate the neighborhood properly. And so not only am I coming from door-to-door strategies where you take people from 0 to 100 on impulse, I'm coming from a corporate strategy where we're going to assign turf to dealers, and if they don't hit penetration rates, we're going to basically sandbag them until they do. And so when I hear a lot of the one door knock, and then I'm knocking 100 doors a day and they're all unique doors, I find the issue in that because you're missing out. You're missing out on what we call heat. Okay. And this is a metaphor used in a lot of different industries and in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's publicity, sometimes it's a sports team, but at the end of the day, we all know what heat is. It's when things are going our way. It's when there's a buzz in the air around what we are doing or who we are. And when you have heat, it becomes easier to close. Same thing with all the influencers that we see right now, right? They get on the scene, they gain some heat, they charge $100,000 for consulting or coaching. And then at some point, people realize, oh, I got to do the work myself. This person's not going to solve all my problems. And then the dip happens, and then the more reasonable products come out, digital courses and stuff like that. Anyways, that's the beautiful thing. I love it when I see people just hate on these courses and coaches and everything else, because I know I give all my shit away for free. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like I've even put out a graphic of tactical episodes. It's called the playbook episodes. Literally, my whole program, my whole system is in there. And I love it because it happens all the time. I'll be on a discovery call and the prospect will say something to the tune of, I was listening to your podcast the other day, or I've listened to all your tactical episodes, or I've listened to all of your playbook episodes. And I'm like, so you got everything you need. You can do this. And they're like, no, I don't got time, or I don't want to, or, I need your experience and expertise in this. So it's interesting. I know I'm kind of going sideways on this, and I want to get around to this tactical strategy for you guys and lay it out. But I believe in doing this so much because it creates so many options for you, and you're not beholden to anyone at a very low ticket level. You know what I'm saying? Now I get it. You got to earn, you got to bring in smaller sales. Maybe you need to charge for a PDF or a course or a video or SOPs or whatever the case is. But I would encourage you, if you are in coaching and consulting or a mastermind space, to raise that ticket and spend time with people. Because look, I can send you a course all day. We all know the stat. It's like 97% of courses don't even get finished, right? And so there's really no accountability there. And I saw this, and again, I'm going sideways on this, but it's important. I saw this clip from Steve Jobs yesterday, and he's basically, I wouldn't say bashing consulting. He's trying to pick it apart. And so what he does is he says, the problem with consulting is that the value that you get from owning a business and being calcified through your decisions and going through the pain and the accountability and everything that's where your growth comes from. And when you're consulting, you just suggest these things and strategies, and maybe even you put some together, but you're not responsible for the outcome. And I would, obviously I'm biased. I'm incredibly biased in this situation, but I also know that people like Steve Jobs, Alex Hormozy, Andy Elliott, all these big personalities right now in the business space. Who's another one? Who's that marketer? Dan Martell. Yeah. There's a bunch of them out there, but I know they're not the end all be all. They are not Jesus. They are not God. And the problem is these young entrepreneurs take everything that they say as biblical. And there's only one of those. There's only one Jesus. There's only one God. There's only one book that we should take everything that it says to heart, right? Everything else we have to take with a grain of salt. You got to remember, when you are a visionary, and I mean the visionary of visionaries, right? The no shoes, the just in the clouds all the time, like Steve Jobs, and you have those kind of visionary abilities, it does not transfer to the average entrepreneur. It's not even close. It's like saying that Michael Jordan, that I can be the next, not the next. I have this. I should listen to Michael Jordan's strategy. I should not listen to Michael Jordan's strategy because I do not have Michael Jordan's body, talent, skills, or abilities, right? And so you have to take things with a grain of salt, and you have to scale them, right? And so, in my opinion, that's what this advice is. You need to scale it, right? And so, from the point of view of the consultant, I understand what he's saying, but there's variables, right? I went through 15 years now of owning a business. I have 15 years of experience of owning an actual business, an actual team, an actual staff behind me, right? And so I understand what he's saying. If you have a consultant that comes out of college and they're recommending these things based on their education, and then over time they recommend them based on their experience. But that's the other thing too, is going into these companies and seeing how they operate and how they move and how they're successful is experience on its own. I may not have seen the pain to get there, but I am definitely seeing the strategies that work, and I can transfer those. And that's the thing too, is like, I talked to one of my first clients, first 5 clients. He was one of the first 5. And I was looking at what I built for him then and what I am building now. And oh my gosh, I almost felt bad. You know what I mean? I was like, I can do so much better than this. So we actually are. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, I'm actually going to start using this stuff. I wasn't able to use it before, and now I'm going to start using it. And I'm like, hey, let's do this. Let's get you virtual training. Let's update some of these documents. You know what I mean? Let's reinforce this. I'm not going to charge him extra for that. He's going to get my evolution without being charged extra because, dude, I want to see him win. And there's all different kinds of consultants and all different levels of consultants, but it's very hard for me to deliver something and have somebody not use it. And it's not like they're not using it because it's not good. They're not using it because they're maintaining the status quo. And I've had this happen with maybe 2 out of the 40 or 50 clients that I've had that I've built sales programs for. I've had it happen before, and it is frustrating as all get out. So if they came back to me right now and was like, hey, I need your help to execute this, I would 100% do that. And I would not be looking to nickel and dime them for it. It just depends on the situation, right? Anyways, going back to what Steve Jobs said, it really depends on your individual responsibility as a consultant. I have my clients reach out to me all the time and say, hey, I tried this, it's not working for me. And then we workshop, you know what I mean? You you got to guard your time as a consultant because you're getting paid for that, right? But as you get deeper into it, you get more clients, you get more investment. You're now able to pick and choose, right? And obviously, you're going to pick and choose the clients that have invested a lot in you and make sure that they succeed. I will say this: the longer that clients have worked with me, the more success I've seen. Obviously, most of these builds I do for 5 to 10K. I do the build and I walk away, right? And here's the beautiful thing. When you look at their expenses, they spent that on a Christmas party. You know what I mean? And so a sales program that's actually going to organize your sales team, give them tools to build their foundations on, 5 to 10 grand is nothing, in the grand scheme of things. And that's part of the problem in a sense too, because then maybe they don't appreciate it as much. The same way you get a free call from a consultant versus a paid call, you're more likely to execute things on the paid call. But anyways, I'm talking in circles at this point, right? You guys get what I'm saying. And so going all the way back to this strategy comes from success. This 5-around strategy works. And so I'm going to encourage you guys to execute on this as soon as possible and put it together. And if you message me directly and ask for this template, I will 100% give it to you. I'm saying that, and I haven't even created a template for it yet that doesn't give my clients information. But I will 100% create that. So the 5-around strategy, I'm going to walk through it with you guys real quick. And let's just do this for, let's see. Let's do this for a roofing company. I feel like roofing companies, this is going to work great for, because there's a lot of trash that comes off the top of that roof, right? Or debris, I should say. Okay. So your avatar right now is a homeowner. It's very simple. Most of the time, prospecting strategies are multiple avatars, but this one is one. It's very simple because you're doing the install already, right? And so you can work this strategy a few different ways. Right now, with the companies that I'm doing it with, we are looking at a minimum of talking to 10 people when we do this, okay? And so the first thing you're going to do is source the prospect. You're going to do that around the install. And you're going to knock a minimum of 10 homes that you talk to people around the repair or install. That's a beautiful thing. If you do repairs, you've just increased the amount of opportunities that you have with this, right? And so, and here's another thing I want to talk about. As you do this more and more, you're going to get deeper and deeper penetration rates in different neighborhoods. You're going to start realizing, hey, some neighborhoods like me and some neighborhoods I just don't do well in. And so as you get these deeper and deeper penetration rates in these neighborhoods, what you're going to be able to do is micro target them beyond just the installs and the prospecting strategy that I'm giving to you guys today. You're going to be able to send out postcards. You're going to be able to target that zip code with ads. You're going to be able to target that SEO, right? You're going to be able to, and what I mean by the SEO is some of these neighborhoods, especially the nicer developments, have names. They have neighborhood names. So imagine being able to target Bridgeport, Bridgeport plumbing, Bridgeport HVAC or heating and air conditioning, Bridgeport roofing, right? You're getting all the way down to the neighborhood now in terms of SEO. And so that could get really interesting at that point. And then the postcards come in, and then you send a couple college kids to door hanger the neighborhood, and then your installs start going in, and then your 5-around strategy starts happening. So this can get really deep, really fast. And then all of a sudden, if you went and knocked every door in the neighborhood and asked, who's the best roofer, since we're going to use roofing as an example right now, who's the best roofer in the neighborhood? It's going to be you, because nobody is dedicating that many resources towards that one neighborhood. And now I can go and pull demographics for the rest of the city and go to neighborhoods that match the demographics of that neighborhood. I mean, this gets nerdy real fast, guys, and it gets a lot of fun. It gets a lot of fun. I feel like gone are the days of mass marketing. And here are the days of micro targeting. We've talked about this in other podcast episodes before, but it's even more apparent as we look at this 5-around strategy, right? All right, so be sure company logos are prevalent and attire is professional. This is a big part of this. And so there's two ways you can do this, right? You can institute a sales strategy and you can have salespeople only execute this. Or you can start giving your techs some additional income through commissions. And before they start the install or after they start the install, depending on their drive time and what makes sense, they can execute this 5 around strategy. Now, if it's the technician, I would say just do the 5 around. The neighbors in front, the neighbors in back, 5 houses. If it's the technician, you don't want to overwhelm them with the sales strategy when they're trying to be technicians and do their job, do good repairs, give the customer a good experience. Definitely, or installs, definitely don't want them to spend too much time on this. Maybe 10% of their time training on this, 10% of their time in the field on this. But what you're going to get from that, which is really interesting too, is you're going to get technicians that all of a sudden have this sales ability you didn't know about, right? And maybe they're already selling in the home. Maybe they're really good at upsells, or maybe they're really good at getting referrals. And so when they start executing this 5 around strategy, and all of a sudden they're getting one new piece of business per 2 homes that they install or repair, you might start looking at them and saying, hey, maybe they are long-term a full-time salesperson. Maybe they could do this full-time. Now, obviously, that's only going to make sense to them if they make more money and they don't have a passion for what they're doing. All right. So first strategy, use technicians. Second strategy, hire a full-time salesperson to actually go out and execute this strategy. Now, can you justify full-time on this strategy alone? Yes and no. Okay, yes, if you have, I would say, at least 2 installs per day, or 2 installs and or repairs per day, right? And you have a steady flow of leads from marketing, right? So they can close the leads from marketing, and they can also close leads with this 5 around strategy. I feel like that's enough to justify 40 hours a week, anywhere from, I think it's like $840 a week. If you don't want to have to worry about overtime for a salesperson, maybe around 500 a week as a base for commission centric, and they can't work over 40 hours, right? Without overtime pay. All right. So we're going to use a clipboard or an iPad to make sure to look busy after the knock. So now we're getting into our basic door-to-door strategies, right? We're going to look down. We're going to look busy. Here's the difference, right? So much of our strategy in door-to-door used to be, this is going on in the neighborhood. But the problem is there was no validation. The resident could not see it. With this 5 around strategy, they can literally look across the street and see the truck. That truck is huge. That truck is an anchor for which you to build your sales pipeline on. Okay? That truck is an anchor for which you to build your sales pipeline on. So another thing for this to work is you have to have graphics on the truck. If you don't have graphics on your installs, I don't know what you're doing. If you have multiple vehicles and you haven't invested in graphics on those vehicles, I don't know what you were doing. Okay? That is a huge marketing piece that you're missing out on. Okay? So also, roofers, you guys have distributors that will manufacturers and distributors that will pay for up to 50% of those car wraps. I don't know if you know that, but you need to execute on that right away. All right, so disposition, no answers, and leave door hanger with your number, right? And so basically, if they don't answer, then you have a door hanger opportunity, right? And so you leave that. Maybe we can get some calls in the pipeline from that. If they do answer, we're going to intro ourselves. Hello, ma'am or sir. Are you the owner here? We're qualifying them right away. We don't want to waste our time with the aunt, the uncle, the cousin, the kids, whatever. We want to talk to the owner. In most home service companies' cases, especially in roofing's cases, we can't start that claim without the owner. If yes, continue. If not, ask for the owner. You just let them know, hey, I'm Doug with XYZ Roofing. We're working on your neighbor John's system right there. You see the truck. I just wanted to point that out so you don't tow us, and also let you know in the next in the next 24 hours or so, these guys are going to be up on that roof, working away, slaving away. But what's going to be happening is they're going to be dropping debris from the roof. Okay. And so we have nets in order to catch that, but every now and then a few spares may come loose. You may see a shingle in your yard or something like that. I just want to make sure, in case you have dogs or anything like that, that if you see any of that happening, you let me know and I'll come and take care of it right away. All right. So what we've done is we've established a second anchor. The second anchor is I am your contact should you have any issues with this install next door. Right. So now I have two reasons to be there. We're installing next door. And should you have any issues, I'm your contact. That's the second anchor. Okay. Allow them to respond. So one of the things body language wise I do during this is when I say, hey, I don't want you to tow our truck, right? I'm smiling. I'm throwing my hands up. It's a little disarming. Okay. So if their wall is still up, hopefully this brings their wall down. If it doesn't, this is the time to warm with form, family, occupation, recreation materials. They have things around their home that you can talk about that may be unique. Sports team, nice vehicle, boat, nice yard, nice garden, nice flowers. There's so many things outside of a home that speaks to who they are and what do people love talking about. They love talking about themselves. So give them that opportunity. Loosen them up, warm with form, and once you get that done, now we're going to go to the qualify. Okay, this is the best part. Okay, let me get out of your hair, right? Before I do, though, have you had your roof inspected yet? Or are you still waiting for us to come by and do that? Now, I'm making this up on the fly. You know what I mean? But that was a pretty decent line. Have you had your roof inspected yet? So you notice my tonality dropped, right? It's very curious now. And people want to help people that need help, right? And so have you had your roof inspected yet? If not, would you like me to go ahead and do that right now, right? And so the only reason I'm curious is because obviously we're taking care of your neighbor John's. If your roof was affected too, we want to make sure we get that inspected and get that claim started with your insurance. Fair enough? And then it'll take me 5 minutes, hop on and at that point, you're in the presentation stage of your normal pitch. You know what I mean? That you would do door to door outside of that. And if you're in roofing, you probably have done some door to door pitching. And so this is more obvious in roofing, but where it doesn't happen and it should is HVAC, is home remodels, is patios, pools, any type of home services, pressure washing, solar. I mean, this should be happening so much more, especially in companies that have a high volume of installs or repairs. This should be the number one prospecting strategy outside of marketing if you're really good at marketing, right? And so I want to make sure that you guys are taking full advantage of this. So that is the 5 around strategy, right? And so to finish up the qualify, if they haven't been inspected yet, hey, that's been common in the neighborhood. I can take care of it for you right now. And like if you're in HVAC or you're in, we're doing a build right now for a generator company. Hey, when was your last repair? When was your last install? Do you have a maintenance plan? So on and so forth. The maintenance plan is the loss leader in this situation, right? So with an air conditioning company, like everybody doesn't need a new install all the time, right? Whenever there's a storm, you always need a new roof, right? And so the maintenance plan is that bridge of the gap between what the customer needs and how you can get in front of the customer long term, right? So if you have maintenance plans for your company, this is a great way to pitch the maintenance plans. And it's also a way to bring some consistent cash flow into the company, consistent income by pitching those maintenance plans. And so you go into the presentation at that point, hey, it's no big deal. Hop up on your roof, do this inspection, all the normal stuff that you do. Or if you're doing a maintenance plan, hey, we can get you set up on that, just like your neighbor today. Then go ahead and schedule your tune-up or your inspection, whatever the case is for that maintenance plan. When would be a good time for that, this week or next? We use 2-option close, and we go into closing at that point. All right, guys. I have talked through 2 major things today. One, consulting as a whole and my reaction to Steve Jobs' reel on that. And then 2, this 5 around strategy. And so I hope you guys have gotten some value from this. I hope you are immediately going back to your businesses or your companies that you work with as salespeople and talking about this 5 around strategy and starting to institute it. To me, it's one of the most underrated strategies in sales right now. And look, this can work for B2B too. This can absolutely work for B2B too. And so if you have a B2B service and you don't need, this doesn't have to be install centric or repair centric. Like if you're going to meet with you know, a client in person, there's nothing that says you can't go knock on the suites around that client or the buildings around that client and let them know what you're doing, right? And so one of the ways that we instituted this is for a pressure washing company that does B2B, right? And same principle. You're in a shopping center, you know what I mean? You're pressure washing the parking lot. There's a shopping center next door. Why would you not walk over there, find the owner, the management company, whatever the case is, like, hey, you want me to take care of y'all's next? You know, and so this is classic. This is what tree trimmers should do. This is something that you can visually see that it's needed, and you're already in the area. You can knock theirs out next, or you can knock theirs out next Tuesday, whatever the case is. This is definitely underrated, underserving customers around your existing customers right now. So let's take advantage of this. Let's get this strategy in place. You know me, I want to SOP it. Hop in Canva, look at handbooks. A lot of the handbooks have templates that you can SOP this into that make it look really good, is the way that I would approach it there. All right, guys, this is the new format. 1 episode a week. It's going to be tactical, going to be directly from me. No more guest episodes. And it's going to be things like this. So if you guys have something that you're concerned about, you have something that you want me to break down or to verbally build for you so that you can execute it in your company, reach out to me, message me, give me an idea, because these are coming from what I've got going on with current clients right now. And I'm bringing those strategies, systems, SOPs, ideas to you guys that you can execute in your company, and we can have more impact here at Building Great Sales Teams. As always, like, share, make sure you tell someone about us, and let's start scaling this podcast. You know, right now, on average, we have about 100 unique listeners per week, maybe 150 to 200 per episode over time. And I know we can do much better than that. And we can spread this value where it needs to be spread, which is anybody that's sales-centric, anybody in home services, anybody in small business. I appreciate you guys, and let's get building.